There was a man from Illinois. He lived over at Pinckneyville, and his last name is Greer. He works around with I think a John Deere company actually over there, and he gets around and picks up. But he knew that I had a Super MTA in parts, and it was actually had been a diesel, and he had wanted it. He had come over and looked at it once before, and I wasn't sure I wanted to sell it. I talked to him about some parts that I was looking for the engine, or for an engine, and he said, "Come over here, I got something I want to show you." So he showed me those two tractors that's in that picture that were sitting there all covered with dust and dirt and weren't running. And we started talking about it, and he said take both of those tractors in trade, and he'd deliver them over here to me for that tractor, just the chassis, without any engine components or tin work or anything. I said, yep, I'll do that. So that's how I got the tractors. The H was the very first tractor that my dad bought that I could go along with him out in the field when I was like about 12 years old. And I thought it was pretty neat, you know, to have that OH. I liked the International. I grew up on them. And I just got to looking at the OH, and I thought, yeah, that would be as close as I'm going to get back to some of my roots, something that I had when I liked before. Well, both tractors, I didn't even try to start them because they had been sitting a long time, and I had no idea what kind of shape the motors were in. Little H was the first one I wanted to work on. I wanted to see if it would start. And I pushed it in here. I think my son even come in there and helped me push it in the shop. All I did was get underneath it, put a bucket under it, and pull the oil pan plug, and all of a sudden oil come out, looked more like tar than it did motor oil. You know, I mean, it was nasty. And I let it set for about 2 weeks so as much would drain out of it as possible. And I put a new oil filter on it, put new oil in it, started up, and drove it around here, and was amazed how good it ran. I mean, it didn't miss a lick. It was, I had to do some work on the carburetor because it was all crudted up from setting so long. But it ran good, and I ran a few hours on it, and I pulled it back in, and I drained the oil again, which there were some big lumps that came out again the second time around. And I thought, boy, this motor just can't be good. But it has been. It doesn't burn drop oil, and I've had it on tractor rides now for 3 years, 3 summers. And I've been keeping track of the mileage that I've been going on these rides, and I'm approaching 800, 850 miles that I've driven that tractor on tractor rides after I had it restored. And the time beforehand, the rides I went on for a year or two before, I hadn't even figure that mileage in on it. So yeah, it's been trouble-free, and everywhere I've taken it, it's been an attraction. People have taken an interest and looked at it. It's been fun. But what was really fun was this spring when I went to the deal that you put on with, to raise money to add on to the building. Max Armstrong was there. And I never had met him before. I'd heard a lot about him, and I walked up to him after I stood in line for a while and started talking to him. And I said, I understand you're an IH man, and I said, I've got a tractor out there I'd like for you to look at. He said, what is it? And I told him a Super HTA. And his eyes lit up. He said, you got one? I said, yeah, I built it. And so he said, I want to look at that after a while. So after a while, they talked about that Max was going to drive a tractor around, so the young lady that was with him, I guess, was helping out or doing something. I said, well, Max wants to drive that tractor. He showed some interest in it. I said, he's more than welcome to use it. It never really occurred to me what I was saying at the time. So anyway, he come walking out with her and some other people, and they walked around behind the building, and nobody said anything to me, so I figured they had something else they had in mind. Next thing I know, here come Max around the corner of the building with my tractor, and he's driving it around out there. So it was really a lot of fun, you know, meeting him, and then later on he autographed the bolster there on my tractor, and everybody said, boy, that tractor's worth a lot more money now.
These tractors are owned by antique tractor enthusiasts throughout the community. They have graciously allowed us to display them here for you to admire. These tractors come and go, so be sure to visit again and see the newest featured tractor in person soon.